Hello, my name is Alan Appel, and I would like to discuss how motivational interviewing improves my theoretical approach to counseling clients. I have struggled my entire teaching career with the problem of getting ideas across to students. I would never limit myself to the insight from only one theory, but would start with a key theory to identify the stage of change of the client I'm dealing with. This is the trans-theoretical model. I will cover two additional supportive theories, define motivational interviewing, and then discuss how my trans-theoretical model approach fits with motivational interviewing. Two theoretical models I have used with success are assertiveness training and neuro-linguistic programming. As a mechanic, I have a toolbox full of tools and prefer to use the right tool for the job. I wouldn't use a wrench to tighten a screw. Also, if I just bought a shiny new wrench, everything looks like a nut and I would want to tighten it. The same can apply to using theories. So it would seem best to not become rigidly committed to any one of them, but imply them as appropriate. Neuro-linguistic programming offers the insight that people have varying preferred communication mechanisms. This programming is classified as auditory, visual, and kinesthetic. Some individuals receive information more readily by hearing it, others by reading, and others by feeling it. Instead of focusing only on speaking with a client, I feel it is advantageous to broaden the context because simply talking may not optimally communicate to a client. In the assertiveness training section of my organizational behavior class, I had students read my text, which is visual, lectured on the topic, which is auditory, and had students stand and face each other in pairs and clasp their hands with one another, which is kinesthetic or feeling. One student would push and the other one would resist, stimulating aggression. Then one would push and another would be limp or passive, which feels demeaning. Then one would push and the recipient would go with the push and then gently push back. So both went back and forth like a dance-like manner. The latter is the give and take of an assertive interaction that this exercise demonstrates at a feeling or kinesthetic level. In the auditory mode of assertiveness, what one person says is in part agreed to, even if it is partly untrue. If a young client says to a counselor, "You're too old to understand my problem," instead of taking offense, the response could be, "You're right, I am old, but maybe you could help me understand." The assertive approach honors both parties who are working together cooperatively to solve a problem without aggression or passivity. I believe this model may optimize counselor and client relationships and lead to acceptance of recommended health solutions. It has been a significant part of my life and has resolved many interpersonal communication issues. Now let's turn to motivational interviewing. Its spirit is characterized by components of compassion, collaboration, evocation, and acceptance or autonomy. The essence of these components is treating others as valued individuals in a non-judgmental way, no matter what their characteristics are. A client with obese BMI or a member of a stereotyped ethnic or cultural group is valued as an individual and not evaluated as a member of a group. It is good to have knowledge about group characteristics, but only to further your understanding of the individual client. The 5 principles of motivational interviewing are: express empathy through reflective listening, develop discrepancy between clients' goals or values and their current behavior, avoid argument and direct confrontation, adjust to client resistance rather than opposing it directly, and support self-efficacy and optimism. Each of these demonstrates the practical application of the value of the individual as autonomous, with whom the counselor compassionately collaborates to foster evocation of client solutions. This is the spirit of MI. We can categorize 2 areas of client discussion of ambivalence in motivational interviewing as change talk and sustained talk. Sustained talk is conversation by the client that supports their present position, which is typically not optimum. Conversely, the change talk side of ambivalence are statements that show possible commitment to change. It is the counselor's role to encourage change talk and guide the client away from sustained talk in a non-judgmental way. This requires that the counselor first be able to engage in empathetic listening, then identify both, and finally encourage change talk to evoke it. A client may say, "I've always been fat. The rest of my family has been as well, and I can't lose weight." This is sustained talk. A counselor may ask, "Do you want to lose weight?" To which a client might respond, "I really want to lose weight," which is change talk. As a counselor, you continually seek and encourage positive rather than negative statements from the client. Some of the techniques to evoke change talk are ask open-ended questions, do decisional balance, and ask for elaboration and ask for examples. I find the key pragmatic trans-theoretical model, TTM, of behavior change an approach I would apply first in a counselor-to-client relationship. The TTM model employs dealing with a client as you find them and supplying information appropriate to the stage they're in. The stages of the TTM model are pre-contemplation, contemplation, preparation, action, and maintenance. If a client is not even considering a behavior change, pre-contemplation, more focus should be spent on developing their awareness of possible dietary issues than, for example, with maintenance, where the change has already been made and the dietary change is internalized. In the pre-contemplation stage, the client has no intention of changing within the next 6 months. The client may not even be aware the problem exists. In the contemplation stage, the client recognizes a need to change, but is in a state of ambivalence about changing. In the preparation stage, the client feels the advantages of change outweigh the disadvantages, and the client is willing to make a change within the next 30 days. In the action stage, clients have changed their behavior, and in the maintenance stage, the client has been doing the change for more than 6 months. Now let's see how motivational interviewing enhances the above theoretical approach. MI integrates and well supports TTM. Meta-analysis of MI has shown it can have a beneficial effect on some 80% of the time. There was some variance, as this was among physicians and psychologists, and other healthcare providers had only a 46% effect, but it is still a significant effect. The 4 MI components of compassion, collaboration, evocation, and acceptance have been discussed. Starting with compassion at any stage of TTM is an advantage because it fosters open communication that promotes moving to the next level. At the TTM pre-contemplation stage, the client has no intention of changing, so it is most important that rapport and trust should be established. However, the human connection that MI fosters is important at all stages. The contemplation stage is where the client is in a state of ambivalence. Traditional advice-giving consultation has been shown ineffective unless the client is really ready to change. Resistance to change can even increase at the contemplation stage if the traditional advice-giving approach is offered. It is at this critical point that motivational interviewing can offer a more effective approach. At the preparation, action, and maintenance stages, research shows that MI had positive effects in smoking cessation and snack mitigation after 12 months of CVD cases. Collaboration of people working together in a give-and-take mental dance and acceptance of whatever the client says are key parts of both TTM and MI, as well as assertiveness. Evoking positive statements would enhance change talk, which is especially important at the TTM stage of acceptance, as the client's autonomy is important at all stages. It is the client who must decide to change, and not the counselor, and the client should be accepted without judgment. In summary, The trans-theoretical stages of change model is significantly enhanced by the implementation of motivational interviewing. The references follow. You can freeze frame them. Thank you.